Welcome to this special edition of the DPW podcast live from DPW in New York. In Brooklyn, actually, where we are today with our first day of the event. My name is Herman, CEO of DPW, and with me today I have Adam Brown. Welcome.
Thanks, Herman. And it's fantastic, isn't it?
It's quite cool to be in the sub. It's impressive. I like it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for being with us. I know you're a friend of the company. You come with DPW a long time already, but thank you for coming over to New York. And maybe for the audience, right? Maybe it's good if you do an introduction about yourself.
Yeah, no worries. So currently I am the officially called the tech platform leader for the procurement platform at Maersk. And effectively what that means is I'm the global director who is responsible for all of the technology that supports the procurement function, or asset strategy and strategic partnerships, as we call it in Maersk, because it's a little bit more, and also the source to pay process. So I'm responsible for the development of technology, the deployment, for buying it, for integrating it, for that whole side of things. Prior to that was BT. I've been in Maersk now for 3 years.
Can you tell a little bit about Maersk, the company?
Maersk is, depending on probably the time of the year, it's, let's say, the world's largest, or certainly within the top 2 or 3 largest container shipping integrated logistics companies. The statistic I always find fascinating about Maersk is that 20% of everything has been shipped by a Maersk. So that's 1 in 5 things when you look around your house. So it's huge, around about 100,000 employees, around about 45 billion of spend, around about 1,200 people in the procurement organization.
It's a pretty impressive number.
So it's
statistics as well, right? 1 out of 5.
Well, look, we're procurement, I'm technology, we love numbers, we love facts and figures. Yeah.
Fair enough. So in the podcast header, right, it's about garages, garage. We talked about the Procurement Garage. You raised the Procurement Garage. In a talk prior to this recording, right, we shared a bit of our experience in garages, innovation garages. Can you tell a bit about the Procurement Garage and why?
So this dates back to my time at BT, where I was very privileged to be working with a wonderful team there with some incredible ambition with how we should be leveraging technology, deploying and using technology in procurement. And this started off in 2019 when Cyril Pura, our CPO, joined the company and had an ambition to not just do a typical digital rebuild using an end-to-end suite, but had the ambition to leverage some of this incredible new technology, this new best-of-breed tech that was coming out of nowhere. And this was kind of about the same time that DPW was starting as well, but there wasn't really any way to discover or work with or really figure out what's the best technology, how it works, what it does. And so we decided to create a digital garage, a procurement digital garage, to do exactly that. So to help us figure out what worked, what didn't work, to be able to partner with, to support innovation and work with the smaller scale startups.
And why did you need a garage? Why did it fit with the existing processes, the teams, the way of workings in the company? Why did you need a different approach then?
It's very, very simple. We wanted to make a complete step change to how procurement was operating. And we heard this morning, I believe it was from your first keynote today, the lessons that have been learned with AI and how that needs a complete mindset shift and a whole mindset change to leverage and get the best out of that. The same was true back in 2019, so 6-7 years ago. The same was true then with these best of breed. So how do we make that change in mindset and change in the way of operating? Because it's no longer just following a traditional, fully integrated end-to-end suite approach. It's, can we get more? Can we leverage more? Can we do better? How do we handle these emerging appetite to measure and monitor risk, as an example, have that continuous monitoring, which hadn't really been done before. How do you do that? How do you leverage the new technologies when it comes to sourcing? So it's no longer just filling out a template and sending it out, but how do we do things like sourcing optimization? How do we do autonomous negotiations? All of this brand new stuff required a different way of thinking, a different way of operating, a different way of interacting with the companies. And that joint collaboration, that joint growth, because as a procurement organization, it was a new way of operating for us. But it was also a new way for these smaller startup companies to operate as well. So we said, well, why don't we invite them in to collaborate closely, invite them into the office, say, you've got 200-300 procurement experts in the organizations, maybe 100 on the floor. You can come and sit and talk, and we can learn, and we can co-create and jointly work together. And that was the ambition. And then COVID and lockdown hit pretty instantly. And so that whole collaborative working never got going in the way that we wanted to, unfortunately, because of COVID. But my goodness, the success of the collaboration and working closely with the guys that we at the time was absolutely fantastic. It just changed everything.
And how did you move from the pilot collaboration and where you test and explore and learn about each other, learn about the technology, learn about the collaboration? How did you move that forward in terms of the next step of skill, or going from one category to the other, or basically bring the technology, bring the solution, the innovation back to the mothership?
So very simple. We tested it out. There was and tested out, proof of concept, run things live, see what works and see what doesn't work, and see what assumptions are proved correct, what assumptions are proved wrong, tweak and adjust as necessary. And we soon found there were some very specific problems that we were solving, and solving them fantastically well across the whole remit of sourcing, spend intelligence is another classic one, and risk management as well. It was those kind of, probably those as cornerstones are the ones that we really learned the most about. And just doing the proof of concept, learning, and then pushing forward into deployment is very simply the way that it works.
And when you go from the pilot to deployment, right? Is that also where you transfer ownership, or was it the same owner basically of the technology or the solution?
Oh, so no, I and my team at the time, we were the owners throughout. So we're the technology arm of the procurement function, if you like. So there was no need to hand off. We collaborated and worked closely with the category managers in IT to make sure that we had the right contracting in place for all the necessary protections. But fundamentally, the proof of concept and then the in-life running was myself and my team.
And you and your team and the category managers and the IT managers, was that a joint approach? Was it a collaboration?
Oh, completely.
Or was it like, hey, these are the users or the experts, how do we engage with them? How do we get them on board? Can you share a bit on that?
Oh, so no, it was entirely collaborative all the way through. So being within the procurement organization, they're not just our customers, but our colleagues and our friends. So we're hearing firsthand exactly what's meaningful, what's not, what works, what doesn't work. And so all the way through, it's very easy on a daily basis to say, look, we've got this, we've tested this out. Does it work? Does it not work? Does it suit you? And that approach, that super collaborative approach, and is absolutely critical when it comes to then the change management, because you're creating this excitement about what the new future could be and what this new stuff is and how it works and what it could mean, and really change for them, which makes the change management easy, because you then have a pull. Said, yeah, I want that stuff. When can I have it? I've seen the demo, I've seen the proof of concept, and that was 2 months back. Where's the product? When can I actually start to use it? Much better position to be in, rather than say, here's a change, pushing it on.
Fair enough. When there's a pool,
yeah,
it makes it easier. And how did you finance or budget for this garage, right? Because you need to spend time. You need to, of course, a pilot is also not for free. You need to allocate resources for that. How did you optimize the model, basically the budget model, so that you were able to do those experiments?
So we ensured that we had a dedicated team. We had pre-existing technology that we were looking after and managing. And so we took it as an incremental step. Yeah, we said that We just have to make it work. As simple as that. It's something that we're all enthusiastic, we're excited about. There was extra time and effort put into it, without a doubt. But everybody was very, very willing. That was the thing. So incremental activity, incremental work. It was the existing team who looked after all of our products as it stood. And so we took that on. And it was, we could see that by doing this work, by doing this experimentation, doing these proof of concepts, it wasn't just random things we were choosing. We were choosing the ones that would have the biggest impact and the biggest chance of either an efficiency gain or a productivity increase. And if we did that, we knew ultimately it's going to reduce our own workload back down again. So that side of it was absolutely fine. As far as how do you...
And when the decision making, right, on the priorities, when it's the potential gain or the efficiency, what was the body or the governance there to make those decisions? How did it work?
So there's kind of two levels to things here. There's the absolute hygiene factor of must-have stuff, which you need. Non-negotiable, you have to have it. You have to understand what your spend is, as an example. And so when it comes around to what's the budget, then of course you have to provide a very sensible allocation and have a sensible return on investment. But it's not a conversation about should we do it or not do it at all. We're doing it because it's hygiene factor and we have to do it. Not understanding your spend is non-negotiable. And so then the decisioning that comes around that is to say, well, which one is going to give us the biggest ability to drive efficiency or drive productivity? What's going to give us the extra stuff? So like most organizations, and spend is a great example, you've put a lot of time and effort into doing things manually. And if you find the right way of operating automatically, or now with agents or AI, then it's a very, very simple, P times Q, where you've got the productivity increase, you've got an efficiency gain, you were doing this, you don't have to do it anymore because it's taken care of. So that side of it is super simple when it comes to the some of these hygiene factor budgeting.
What are the lessons from the garage, the period? Well, there are a lot of practitioners here in the room, right? Large organizations, small organizations, global team, local teams. What would your piece of advice be, or your key learning that you would say, guys, if you want to move in a next wave of testing out all the, well, there's so much out here in technology and innovation, right? It's a bit overwhelming even. How do you optimize for that, and what would your advice be based on your learnings?
I think there's two halves to the advice. There's the advice that I would give the sponsors, the startups, the guys who are out here, is be very realistic. Yeah. Get somebody who believes in you, who believes in what you're doing, and really understand it. Chase after the honesty with the organization that you're approaching. And make no mistakes, the bigger the organization, the longer it takes. So invest time appropriately. I remember very early on having a conversation with what is now a hugely successful company sitting out there. When they were tiny, there was only 5 of them at the time. And they said, we're only going to invest in one big global enterprise at a time because we can't afford the amount of resource that it takes to deal with it. And I thought that was incredibly mature. So I'd advise anybody else in the same position, consider that. So for everybody who is a startup, a tech company, find a sponsor who believes in you, be very, very honest with them, ensure they're honest with you, and make sure you invest the appropriate amount of time. Don't get sucked along in and waste your time. So from the other side of it, from my side and my learnings of what we're doing, be critical. You want a complete step change in how you operate. It's no use just automating an existing process. It's no use just making a little incremental improvement. You want to completely step change. The phrase you guys use, 10x it. You do. It is
the theme of last year, indeed.
Throw it up in the air, break the process, see how it can be rebuilt in a much more efficient, much more effective manner. There are so many options to do everything completely differently, particularly now with AI, with agents as well. The world is a different place. If you apply all of the technology that exists today on your existing process, you're not going to get the benefits that are truly available. So challenge the way of thinking, challenge everything.
How would you measure the performance of agents today?
That is a good.
Yeah.
That is a very
that
good
pops
question.
up.
So I think interesting theme that I've had from a lot of the agentic companies out here is it's an employee. It's a procurement manager that you've got. There's even people out here with CVs, with resumes written for the agent that you can look at and you go, okay, you understand that the AI and the agents have reached a level that is effectively another employee. You heard one of your keynotes earlier, Eloise, speaking about you're a manager of agents, as a manager of employees. So perhaps the answer is measure them in the same way that you would be with the employees. How effective are they?
Performance review.
It could be. How do you performance measure against what the agent is achieving? I mean, the great thing about agents is that they never take holidays and work 24 hours a day, which is quite wonderful. And so theoretically, the throughput should be astronomical, but also there's an infinite knowledge base stored within them, because the agents you're hooking into public large language models in a large number of cases. And so again, I think we heard from one of the things that I'm sure was Anthropic have said in the past is ask, how can the AI do this? Did we consider the use of AI? How does AI change? How would the AI have done it? All of those things. I think great considerations.
All those learnings, right? Experimenting, scaling, and also really good piece of advice, right? How to optimize the collaborations, especially with startups, where you need focus, trust, and transparency as well, working with large enterprise. And what's out here today, right? What we have here outside of our subway, all the innovation, all the solutions, technology there. How or what will you take back to Maersk tomorrow?
To me, it is a mindset shift. That's the fundamental, the biggest fundamentals. We have to change the way that we are thinking about the technology now. It's no longer an optimization. It's no longer a tweak of a dial, a incremental improvement. It's no longer even the case of all of the tiny improvements adding up to something incredible. It is a whole shift of the ground that you stand on. Yeah.
And the function, right? Procurement, supply chain, or how ready are we?
I think emotionally, very ready. Everybody wants this. It's a very easy, quick emotional connection. If you think about agents as employees, you go to anybody and say, would you like an extra 20 people? Would you like an extra 100 people? Would you like an extra infinite number of employees working for you?
The answer is yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so emotionally, very ready. Conceptually, and knowing what to do and how to do it, it's that mindset shift. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing, is how do you make that mindset shift? That's the critical one.
And what's your answer to that question?
For everything, think, how could I have done this with AI? Could I have done this with AI? And AI is a shortcut. There's a million different ways of doing it. But fundamentally, think of AI as that extra employee. How would it have been done differently if we had had that available? Even sit down, whichever flavor of Copilot or ChatGPT, whatever, or Claude or whatever, whichever, Gemini, whichever one you're using, use it more. Yeah, you're not using it enough. Use it for everything. Use it every day. Use it. Get to know it. Let it get to know you. Talk to it. And the more specific that you get, and the more you interact, the better you're going to get at interacting, and the better the responses are going to be, and the more you're going to get out of it. And as soon as you start doing that, the opportunity is just exponential. Your ideas on how and what you can do will just exponentially increase.
Do more. Thank you so much for being here with us here in New York, for sharing your experience, your learnings, BT, Maersk. What are you up to next?
That's okay. I mean, look, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. This is amazing. I've got a real big problem. The agenda is amazing, which is
sorry.
not giving me enough time to go and see
Sorry for
all of the startups that I want to see. And you're running 2 stages, and I want to see everything on both stages simultaneously. So I need the DPW TV edited version so I can rewatch it.
It's coming. So it's coming. So all the recordings will be out there, also for you, but also for everybody listening to our podcast now today. Thank you for being here with us here in New York. We appreciate your time and hope to see you next time in DPW, maybe in Amsterdam, maybe in New York, and otherwise on our audio channels and video channels. Thank you.